Nestled among rolling hills and surrounded by vast fields of golden wheat, the small town of Willow Creek was a place where time seemed to stand still. The streets were lined with charming houses, each one telling stories of generations past. Children played tag in the grassy park, laughter ringing through the air like music. It was a community that thrived on routine, school bells, shop hours, and most importantly, the courthouse clock that marked the passing of each hour. But on this peculiar day, a strange event unfolded as the clock struck 13. The sound echoed through the streets, a haunting chime that sent a shiver down the spines of residents. Whispers filled the air as townsfolk exchanged uneasy glances. Had they miscounted? Was it a trick of their ears? The oddity cast an eerie shadow over their usual tranquility. As people paused in their tracks, time seemed to slow, revealing an unsettling stillness. Birds stopped their chirping mid-song, and even the wind held its breath. It was as if time itself had been arrested, leaving the town caught in a moment of doubt and uncertainty. In that quiet stillness, something stirred beneath the surface, a feeling that life was about to change in ways they could never have imagined. The clock's strange chime marked the beginning of an unusual chapter in Willow Creek's history. As the haunting chime of the courthouse clock filled the air, Deputy Sam Thornton stepped through the heavy wooden doors, his brow furrowed in confusion. A seasoned lawman with years of experience under his belt, he had always relied on the familiar rhythm of the town to guide his day. But today felt different. There was an electric tension that crackled around him. Sam glanced at the townspeople standing frozen in their tracks, eyes wide and faces pale. He could see their unease mirrored in the shifting shadows cast by the late afternoon sun. The deputy took a deep breath, trying to shake off an inexplicable sense of foreboding that settled in his gut. He moved further into the courthouse, hoping to find answers amid the stillness. As he approached the central hall, whispers filled his ears like fleeting ghosts. 13? What does it mean? Someone murmured. The questions echoed around him as he surveyed the room. Papers littered desks and dust danced in slivers of sunlight, untouched by time. Even the clock's peculiar chime seemed to reverberate in his mind, a relentless reminder that something was amiss. Deputy Thornton pulled his hat low over his eyes, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. He felt a weight on his shoulders, knowing that it was up to him to maintain order in a town thrown into chaos by this strange occurrence. As the last echo of the strange chime faded into silence, a profound stillness enveloped Willow Creek. Time seemed to distort and stretch, wrapping the townspeople in an unsettling haze. Moments turned into hours as people stood in disbelief, blinking as if trying to wake from a dream. The familiar sounds of the town, children's laughter, shopkeepers calling out, and birds chirping, had vanished, leaving only a heavy, ominous quiet. In the diner, the smell of fresh coffee hung in the air, but no one moved to pour a cup. The waitress stood frozen with a pot in hand, staring at the clock as though it held the answers. Outside, farmers paused their routines, tools dangling from their hands, while neighbors exchanged bewildered glances across the street. Even nature seemed affected. A breeze that should have rustled leaves and swept through the streets instead lay still. Time felt like a tightrope, balancing between the past and an uncertain future, and every heartbeat echoed like thunder in their ears. As faces painted with confusion looked towards Deputy Thornton for guidance, he realized that every tick of the clock was now a reminder of their shared uncertainty. To them, it was more than just a moment. It was the start of something that challenged the very fabric of their reality. In that eerie pause, doubt hovered heavily above them, like bullets caught mid-air, waiting for clarity that might never come. Just as the townsfolk struggled to process the bizarre occurrence of the clock striking 13, a sudden commotion erupted from the edge of town, breaking through the heavy silence. A piercing scream echoed through the streets, sending chills down the spines of those who heard it. Deputy Thornton's heart raced as he rushed towards the sound, drawing closer to the local park where a small crowd had gathered. As he approached, he found a young girl, Clara, trembling and pointing toward an old oak tree. The onlookers murmured in hushed tones, eyes wide with fear and curiosity. "There's something there," Clara cried, her voice quaking. The crowd leaned in closer, parting to reveal a strange sight, a glimmering object lodged in the bark of the tree. It shimmered oddly in the fading light, reflecting hues of crimson and gold. Deputy Thornton pushed through the throng, feeling an inexplicable pull toward the object. It resembled a bullet, yet it was unlike any he'd seen before, smooth and pulsating as if it breathed with life. The air around it felt thicker, charged with palpable energy, and even nature seemed to still in its presence. Fear gripped the crowd tighter as they contemplated what this mysterious object might mean. Was it a warning? A sign of something more sinister? As whispers filled the air and speculation ran wild, one thing was clear. The town's tranquility was forever altered by this unsettling incident. As the townspeople gazed at the pulsating object in the oak tree, their fear deepened, and a sense of vulnerability gripped them. The shimmering bullet became a haunting symbol, representing the uncertainty that now hung over Willow Creek like dark clouds threatening a storm. It was as if time itself had paused, leaving their lives in a state of suspension, with each person feeling as if their safety was no longer guaranteed. Whispers filled the air, comparing the strange object to bullets hanging mid-air, signifying not just physical danger, but also the doubts that clouded their minds. What if this were merely the beginning? What other mysteries lay hidden in their once peaceful town? The metaphor was powerful. It spoke to the anxiety that coursed through their veins, manifesting as questions that seemed impossible to answer. Children who once played freely now looked toward their parents for reassurance, sensing an undercurrent of fear that they could not understand. Conversations among the adults shifted from gossip to concern about safety. One elderly man pointed out that this was a town where everyone knew each other, yet today he felt like a stranger in his own home. Deputy Thornton stood at the edge of the crowd, watching the anxious faces surrounding him. He realized that he was now tasked with more than just maintaining order. He had to restore their lost sense of security and hope before doubt paralyzed them completely. As the crowd continued to murmur around the shimmering object, the reactions among the townsfolk varied dramatically. Some, like Clara, the young girl who had first spotted it, were filled with a mix of curiosity and bravery. Her wide eyes sparkled with excitement as she stepped closer to the oak tree, daring others to join her in investigating the strange phenomenon. "Maybe it's a treasure," she exclaimed, her innocent optimism cutting through the thick tension in the air. However, not everyone shared Clara's enthusiasm. Mrs. Henderson, an elderly woman known for her caution, clutched her handbag tightly and shuffled backward, shaking her head in disbelief. "This is a sign of bad things to come," she cried out, her voice trembling with fear. Panic quickly began to ripple through some of the onlookers. Several adults exchanged worried glances and muttered about leaving town altogether. Among them stood Mr. Thompson, a local farmer who had always been staunchly rooted in his beliefs about community strength. He took a deep breath and tried to rally his neighbors. "We need to stick together. Panic won't help us now," he declared firmly, but his voice was met with mixed reactions. Some nodded while others turned away. Deputy Thornton watched these contrasting responses unfold before him, knowing that if he didn't act soon, fear could tear apart the very fabric of their tight-knit community. The time for courage was now. He had to find a way to unite them against their uncertainty before chaos set in completely. Amidst the rising tension in Willow Creek, Deputy Sam Thornton felt the weight of his badge pressing down on him like a heavy shroud. He stood at the edge of the crowd, watching as fear and uncertainty festered among his neighbors. In his heart, he battled a storm of doubt. What if he failed them? What if this was just the beginning of something far worse? As murmurs of panic spread, he recalled countless small-town crises he'd faced before, but none quite like this. The mysterious object had not only sparked curiosity, but also awakened deep-seated fears that threatened to unravel the very fabric of their community. With each anxious glance exchanged between townsfolk, Thornton felt his resolve waver. He wanted to project strength and confidence, yet inside, he questioned whether he truly had control over the situation. He could hear Clara's bright voice mixed with Mrs. Henderson's trembling words in his mind, a reminder that every decision now carried immense weight. He needed to act swiftly to restore order, Yet how could he reassure them when his own heart raced with uncertainty? Taking a deep breath, Deputy Thornton stepped forward into the crowd, prepared to address their fears. He knew it was vital to instill hope in their hearts while battling his inner turmoil. Gathering strength from his commitment to protect Willow Creek, he resolved that he would not let doubt dictate their fate. Not today. The courthouse clock, once a steadfast symbol of routine and stability in Willow Creek, had transformed into a harbinger of uncertainty after striking 13. Its peculiar chime resonated through the town, echoing not just the passage of time but amplifying the weight of choices that the residents now faced. Each tick of the clock seemed to mock their prior certainties, reminding them that life could shift in an instant. For years, the clock had been a reliable marker of their daily lives. School schedules, work hours, and community gatherings all revolved around its rhythmic sound. But now, with its strange anomaly, it served as a stark reminder that time could be unpredictable, much like the events unfolding before them. The townspeople began to view it as more than just a way to measure minutes. It had become a reflection of their own fears and doubts, as if it were taunting them with unanswered questions about what lay ahead. As they looked at the clock, some felt paralyzed by indecision, while others wrestled with their instincts to flee or stay and fight for their home. Deputy Thornton recognized this symbolism. He understood that restoring faith in their shared reality meant confronting the very essence of what the clock represented. He knew that he must guide his community in finding clarity amidst chaos, helping them reclaim their sense of time and safety before doubt took root permanently. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across Willow Creek, the tension among the townsfolk reached a boiling point. Deputy Thornton stood before the crowd, feeling the weight of their anxious gazes. The shimmering object in the oak tree loomed large in their minds, embodying their collective fear and uncertainty. In that charged atmosphere, a decision had to be made. "Listen up." Thornton's voice cut through the murmurs like a knife. "I know this is frightening, but we cannot let fear control us. We've faced challenges before, and we need to come together now more than ever." His words hung in the air, met with mixed reactions. Some nodded while others shifted uneasily. Clara stepped forward, emboldened by Thornton's encouragement. "If it's a treasure or something important, we should find out," she declared, her innocence shining through the gloom. Her bravery ignited a spark in some of the townsfolk who had been silent until now. Mrs. Henderson frowned but couldn't deny Clara's courage stirred something within her. "But what if it's dangerous?" she asked, her voice quaking. "Then we face it together," Mr. Thompson added passionately, his fists clenched. "We may not have all the answers, but we are stronger as a community." With those words igniting a collective resolve, Deputy Thornton felt a surge of hope. They were ready to confront their fears head-on. The moment crystallized, this was their turning point. Together, they would uncover the truth behind the mysterious object and reclaim their town from uncertainty. With newfound determination, the townsfolk gathered around the mysterious object, their fears slowly giving way to curiosity and unity. Deputy Thornton organized small groups to investigate, encouraging everyone to participate and share their thoughts. As they worked together, a sense of community began to blossom out of the uncertainty. The shimmering object was carefully examined, revealing markings that hinted at its origin, a sign that they were not alone in their struggles. Days passed as they delved deeper into the mystery, and slowly but surely, time resumed its normal flow in Willow Creek. The clock, once a source of dread, ticked away with reassuring familiarity as the townsfolk embraced the lessons learned from their ordeal. Their shared experience had forged stronger bonds among them. Neighbors who had previously avoided eye contact now shared laughter and stories over coffee at the diner. As life returned to its rhythm, whispers of hope replaced murmurs of doubt. Clara's bravery became a rallying point for other children, inspiring them to explore their own interests without fear. Mrs. Henderson found strength in her new friendships and started volunteering at the local library. Deputy Thornton watched this transformation with pride, knowing he had played a part in guiding them through darkness. The town had not only confronted its fears, but had also emerged more resilient than before. No longer just a place on a map, but a true community bound by courage and understanding. Time had indeed resumed its flow, bringing with it a renewed sense of purpose for all who called Willow Creek home. As the weeks turned into months, the impact of the clock striking 13 lingered in Willow Creek. The townspeople, once caught in a web of fear and uncertainty, now reflected on their shared experience with a sense of newfound depth. Many discovered that time was not just measured by the clock but lived through connections and moments shared with one another. Deputy Thornton noticed how conversations shifted. Neighbors no longer spoke in hushed tones about paranoia, but shared stories of resilience and support. They realized that true safety stemmed from unity and trust within their community rather than just the absence of threats. The shimmering object, once a source of dread, became a catalyst for change, reminding them all to treasure interactions and reach out across divides. Clara's boldness inspired other children to explore their curiosity without trepidation, while Mrs. Henderson found herself more involved in community initiatives than ever before, embracing friendships she had previously overlooked. The clock that had marked their mundane routines evolved into a reminder that time could also represent hope, a chance to learn and grow amidst challenges. Willow Creek was forever altered. It carried with it an appreciation for life's unpredictability and an understanding that every tick of the clock symbolized new choices ahead. United by their experiences, the townsfolk emerged with stronger bonds and a deeper acknowledgement that while time may bring uncertainties, facing them together made all the difference.